Hello, my name is Todd Miranda, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use a resource file and the elements that are in that resource file in WPF application when they're created with Microsoft Expression Design 2. So let's begin in Microsoft Visual Studio 2008. We'll choose File, New, Project, and we'll choose a WPF application project, and we'll name this accordingly. We'll call it WPF Design 2 Resource Files. And this is for C#. We can also do this in VB.NET. Okay, so here's our straightforward WPF application project. We don't need to have anything super fancy here. The next thing we want to do is open up Expression Design 2.0. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on Expression Design 2.0. We're just going to simply use this. We're going to very briefly create a couple of elements here. So let's just start with a pen tool, and we're going to do this on our first layer, and we'll just create some type of some type of thing like that, and then we'll come in and we'll put a little circle right here, and maybe that becomes our cartoony propeller. And then we're just going to create another layer, and in that second layer maybe we'll just create a progression of these ellipses, just something that'll give us something that we can work with. Alright, that should be fine. Now, we're also going to use the slice tool to create a couple of different slices out of this first element. And again, don't get too terribly focused in what we're doing in Expression Design. That's not really the point so much as it is how to use the exported items out of Expression Design. Now know that if you're working with a set of designers, or perhaps you're doing the design yourself, there's a couple of different ways that things can be exported out of Expression Design 2, and there's a couple of different resulting element types that we can have to deal with. So I want to create a couple of examples. I want to show you a couple of those different element types, and that way you know when you get an Expression Design generated resource file, what's the best way and the easiest way to bring that into your WPF application and use it. So we're going to go to Expression Design 2, File, Export, and you see that we can do this a couple of different ways. We can choose Export the whole document, and for format we're going to choose a WPF resource dictionary, and that gives us two different elements here, a layer 1 and a layer 2, and that's going to be stored in this file, whatever we name this file, and we're just going to go to our folder where we're doing our project, and we'll just put it here in the root of the folder, and we're going to call this resource 1, and do save, and then do export all. I'm just going to copy that folder path. Alright, so that was it. That was pretty simple. That was it. Now we're also going to go back into File, Export. This time we're going to export slices, and one of those slices we're going to make a drawing brush. The other slice will leave a PNG, and slice 2, slice 1, that'll work. Our container will be a resource dictionary, and we'll call this resource 2. Resource 2, and we'll paste our path back in here where we want to store that, and choose, okay, that's good, export all. Alright, so that's it. We've exported some items out of Expression Design 2 that we can use in our WPF application. Well, let's take a look. I'm going to open up a Windows Explorer window, and I just want to briefly show those files that we just created. Alright, so here's our folder. Now we have a resource 1, which is the first file we generated. And let's see how it gets generated. It is a resource dictionary that contains a couple of different elements. The first one is a drawing brush named Layer 1. The second one is another drawing brush named Layer 2. And those are all within this resource dictionary. For the second export that we did, and this could be the other way that you might get these exported files from your designer out of Expression Design, we have a resource dictionary with two elements as well. The first one being called slice_2_XAML, and the second being an image drawing called slice1png. And notice that it references the image source as this resource2_files slice1.png file. So if we look, we see that a directory folder was created for us as well, called resource2 files, with not only the individual XAML files exported out, but also the PNG file that we'll need for those. So those are the two different ways that we can export things out of Expression Design, and those are the ways that you, if you're doing the design work yourself, you'll be able to export them. If you have a designer that you're working with, they may export them in one of those two ways. And did you notice that the two elements that we have to deal with are a drawing brush and an image drawing? Alright, so we're going to minimize that. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we can bring those resources into our WPF application. The first is just with Visual Studio 2008. If we open up our Solution Explorer, we can right-click on our project, do Add Existing Item. That brings up a Add Existing Item dialog. And we'll just go back to the folder where we know those things are. And we're going to bring in, we'll just choose all files to show everything. And we're just going to bring in this resource1.xaml file. Do add. So there's our resource1.xaml file brought into our project. Now the other way that we could bring these files into our project, and this is really kind of also demonstrating how well Studio and the Expression Suite work together. We could also use Expression Blend. So let's open up Expression Blend 2, and I'm going to do File, Open, Project or Solution, and we're just going to go back to our folder. Alright, and I'm going to choose, or this is the solution file, so we'll go into code, we'll look for our solution, and we'll open up our solution into Expression Blend. Alright, so here's our same project. Now in Expression Blend, we can right click on our project, do Add Existing Item. Again, we'll go to our correct folder, and we're going to choose resource2.xaml. Remember, resource2.xaml was the one that had the additional folder structure right along with it. But if we just choose the resource2.xaml file and choose Open, Blend knows that it's got this associated directory along with it. It'll automatically import that associated directory as well. So you see how well everything really blends together, everything really works together. So we'll save our work, or save everything that we did here, and we'll go ahead and close out of Expression Blend. Now when we do that, we'll come over to Studio, and Studio says, hey, I noticed something changed. So we'll do yes, that's fine. We're just going to discard that, and the reason we're going to discard is we want to just discard any changes that Studio thinks that it's made and load this updated project from disk. Okay, so let's open our window1.xaml file back up, go into our Solution Explorer just to verify that, yeah, we now have our resource2.xaml file as well, and our resource2 files in here as well. Alright, and we had not changed, we had not saved, remember we did discard, so we didn't keep the change where we had added the resource1.xaml file to the project. So we'll just add it back in. So we'll do project, we'll do add existing item, we'll go up a couple levels, choose all files, bring back in our resource1.xaml. Oops, we don't want it there, we want it right at the root. Okay, so there's our resource 1, our resource 2, and our folder for resource 2. So we've got everything imported into the project now. How do we actually use those resource files in our WPF application? Well, we need to include them in the window.resources block. Now this resources block doesn't necessarily have to be put locally into the window. You could actually put the resources block into the app.xaml, which is kind of the global application file, and then you'll be able to reference it everywhere. We just want to be able to reference it on this window for this particular case, so we're just going to do window.resources and put this resources block here. Now, window.resources is a resource dictionary, and you can only have one resource dictionary loaded at a time. So let's see how we can load both our resource dictionaries at the same time. So we're going to come in and we're going to say resource dictionary, and we're going to say source equals, and remember our source was resource1.xaml. So resource1.xaml, and that brings our resource dictionary in. And with our resource1.xaml file, if we remember, that was the one that had the layer 1 and the layer 2, and those were drawing brushes. So we'll go back over here, we'll add a rectangle, we'll say maybe it has a width of, yeah, that's fine. We'll say width of 100, height of 50, and then we're going to do fill, and we need a brush to do our fill with, so we're going to use one of the drawing brushes, and we'll just do static resource layer underscore 1, which is our layer underscore 1 brush that we created, and there it is. Alright, it shows up on our application. We've got a rectangle, and we've filled it with our drawing brush that came from Expression Design, exported into this resource1.xaml file. Now we could change this to layer 2 as well, and it would change that. So we'll leave it layer 2, since our other resource dictionary has the same image in it as resource 1. Okay, so now what happens if we come in here and we say we want another resource dictionary, source equals, and this is going to be resource2.xaml. Well, obviously we have a couple of problems. Since we only have one resource dictionary at a time, the second resource dictionary overwrote the first resource dictionary, and now we say, hey, we can't find layer 2. Where did it go? Well, it's in resource 1, which has now been overridden. So, how do we merge both of these resource dictionaries together so that we can use both of them in the same file? Well, we do exactly that. We merge them. We create a merged dictionary. So we come in here and we do resource dictionary dot merged dictionaries, and then we'll take both of our resource dictionaries, put them inside of our merged dictionaries, and then we place all of that inside a resource dictionary element. Okay, so we have our resource dictionary, and it contains a merged dictionary. Let's space those out a little bit more neatly. It contains a merged dictionary with two different dictionaries in it. So notice we no longer get the error. We find our image. We'll refresh that. So we do find our image. So now let's go to our grid. We're going to add another rectangle. And this will say width equals 50, height equals 50, fill equals, and if you remember in the second resource dictionary, we had, I believe, slice 1 XAML. This is our static resource. Alright. Alright, that's not right. So let's just do the easy thing, and let's go into Resource 2 and see what that was. Yes, there it is. /2.xaml. So now we're going to come down here, and we're going to say margin equals, and we'll just say 50, 0, 0, 0. Or instead, let's do 0, 200. Alright, so that just kind of moved it down on our canvas quite a bit. So we can see both elements. So now you can see that we're actually using the /2 XAML drawing brush to fill this second rectangle here in our form. So let's move it here, and let's move this element here. And now we're going to add one more element to our grid, and we'll look at how we can actually use this drawing image. So to use a drawing image, and what a drawing image is, it's really a type of image. So it's not a brush of any sort. We can't paint with it. So we go in here and we say image, and then we'll do image.source. Alright, because we want to set the source of our image, and we're going to set the source of our image to a drawing image. So we'll use drawing image, and the actual drawing that we want to use is, you guessed it, stored in our static resource, and I believe this one might have been slice_1_XAML. Alright, we're getting an error because it wasn't XAML. Remember, this one was the image, so it wasn't the XAML, this was the PNG. So here's our, let's see what the name of that is. It is slice_1_PNG. Alright, so now you can see that there is our image right here. We can go into our image here and set the width to be, say, 100, and the height to be, say, 75. And you'll see that now we have our image element here with our drawing image directly located inside of it, and that came out of our second resource file. So, not very difficult to be able to utilize resource files that have been generated out of Expression Design. In a lot of cases, you'll have your designer that are generating these for you, so it's good to know, as I said, number one, the types of elements that can be in those resource files generated from Expression Design, and those are your drawing brush, so that you can use the brush as a drawing, and use that as an actual paintbrush to fill things and set any other type of brush elements in XAML, or a drawing image, which is actually a type of image that you can use on your WPF application as well.